Welcome to the 11th week after Pentecost. It's Wednesday, August the 7th, 2024. This is the Manna at the Tap podcast, where we as a community actively seek the spiritual nourishment our souls crave. I'm Gloria, your fellow traveler on this spiritual journey, and together we offer and receive insights and interpretations from the daily lectionary readings, which provide the manna designed to nurture our spiritual growth. Today, we delve back into the Gospel of Mark, a narrative filled with action and urgency. Mark's Gospel is a whirlwind of miracles, a testament to the power of God at work. In Mark chapter 6, a crowd followed Jesus to a remote area where he taught them. But before long, the day was spent and the crowd was hungry. He challenged his disciples to feed them, but their focus was on how much it would cost, more than half a year's wages, and they did not have the resources to do that. Thankfully, a mother took her children to listen to Jesus and brought along something for them to eat just in case it went late. She was able to give 5 loaves and 2 fish to Jesus so he could feed all the people. He had them sit on the green grass. He gave thanks and broke the loaves, giving the food to the disciples to distribute to the people. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples collected 12 baskets of leftovers. That crowd was 5,000 Jewish people. In Mark chapter 7, Jesus found himself in Gentile territory and went into a house where he was sure no one knew him. But he encountered a Greek woman who fell at his feet and begged him to drive a demon out of her daughter. Jesus told her he came to the children so they could eat all they wanted and not share their food with dogs. That is the name Jews call Gentiles. But she responded, even dogs under a table eat the children's crumbs. Jesus told her to go home. Her daughter was healed. The lectionary text today is Mark chapter 8, verses 1 to 10. The chapter makes a turning point in Jesus' ministry as his miracles will begin to grow fewer while his teaching will increase. He's still in Gentile country, and a large crowd has gathered around him. They listened to him for 3 days without eating. And Jesus was concerned they might collapse on their way home because some had traveled a long distance. The disciples are again focusing on what they do not have. They were wondering where they could find enough bread in this remote area. They had already forgotten the feeding of the 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 small fish. The disciples had 7 loaves, and Jesus told the crowd to sit down on the ground. He thanked God for the 7 loaves, broke them, and gave them to his disciples to distribute to the people. They also had a few small fish as well. Jesus also thanked God for them and had the disciples distribute them to the people who ate and were satisfied. The disciples picked up 7 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. There were about 4,000 Gentile people present, and after he had sent them away, Jesus got into the boat with his disciples and returned to the Jewish side of the Sea of Galilee. What thoughts can we gather today from the reading of the text? When Jesus pointed out the hunger of the crowd, the disciples felt helpless and they drew on scarcity by pointing out the location and the lack of their resources. Jesus asked them to look again and see what was possible. Did you notice? The 7 loaves did not come from a mom. They came from what the disciples had for themselves. The crowd came from a far distance, and Jesus had compassion on them after 3 days of teaching them. He noticed the distance the people had traveled, and they needed to be fed physically to make the journey home. Jesus sees the spiritual distance we have come and looks at us with compassion. We will need to allow ourselves to be nourished spiritually by Jesus, and He will also take care of our physical and financial needs, and there will be leftovers after we are satisfied. Our God is faithful. He will provide all our needs, even when we are in the most desolate of circumstances. The lesson we can learn is to let go of our human limitations and hold on to the sufficiency of the divine family.